Sun and Mood Read.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. My name is Sun. I hope you've all been well. Well, today I'm going to share with you my reading goals for 2021. Now, I have a mantra for this year, and the mantra is don't overthink it, because I do tend to overthink many things in my life, including my reading life. And especially because I started this booktube journey last year, I must say I have been overthinking my reading life quite a bit. So much so that I came to a little bit of a crossroads where I did kind of and ah about, do I want to continue this booktube journey, which I really want to. But if I do, I really need to shift my attitude to a little bit more of a positive, stress-free, and just a more enjoyable approach to this booktube experience. So I thought this was a perfect reason to go back to my absolute first love when it comes to bookish resources, and that is the Modern Mrs. Darcy Book Club. This is a website and book club that's run by Anne Bogle, and she also has a podcast called What Should I Read Next? I'll provide the links below in the description. Modern Mrs. Darcy and What Should I Read Next are the resources that got me back into reading for fun, which happened about maybe 6 years ago now. So I do owe my reading life to Anne Bogle. Thank you, Anne. So as a tribute, I thought I would use the Modern Mrs. Darcy Reading Life Challenge as my template for my reading goals this year. By the way, Anne Bogle is the queen of the mantra, don't overthink it. So much so that she actually wrote a book called Don't Overthink It. So yeah, she's my kind of lady. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so the template that I'm going to use is the Modern Mrs. Darcy Reading Life Challenge. It is a challenge, it is a guide, but life is too short to overthink and worry about things like books and reading. It's meant to be an enjoyable process, and that's what this template is meant to encourage. I will provide the links below. So let's just take a look at it. So the first thing says what? Oh, I can't read it like this. Just can't. Oh, look, you get the gist. Okay, I'm just going to read it like this. It's much easier. Okay, so the first part is what I want from my reading life. There's 3 things you can write down. And next part is my reading life needs, and you need to complete it. So 3 things again. Next part is tackling these mini projects will give my reading life a boost. 3 parts. And then you've just got a list, a TBR list, only 12 books or so. And this is the guide. So it really just depends on what kind of reading life you're after this year. You know, so you've got themes like books to cultivate community, books to read for comfort, learn new things, read with a literary lens, don't overthink it, embrace the backlist. Now, since my mantra is don't overthink it, you can probably guess which one I chose. So let's get into it. What do I want from my reading life? Number 1, enjoyment. I think that's obvious. I think that's a given. If you're not enjoying your reading life, if you're not enjoying a particular book, why read it? That will always be my priority in my reading life. So that's got to be number 1. The second thing that I want from my reading life is affirmation. So what I mean by affirmation is I want to get to the end of a book and have things affirmed for me, whether it's about love, life, people, desires, whatever it is. I love it when you have that cathartic moment and things are affirmed and consolidated in your life and your thoughts. Yeah, I love that feeling. So that's what I want from my reading life, affirmation. And the third one is connection. And that is multi-layered, connection to the characters, connection to the story, but also outside of the actual book, connection to other like-minded people out there. You guys, the community. I am super blessed because I work at the library, so I am surrounded by books. I'm surrounded by people who love books. I'm very lucky to be in that field. So yeah, I just want to maintain that connection. All right, next one. My reading life needs. Okay, number one, my reading life needs to be a free and fluid experience. The more expectations, pressure that I put on myself when it comes to what I should be reading, what I should be talking about on BookTube, I will get put off reading, which is absolutely heartbreaking because it takes me a long time to recover. So there needs to be a sense of freedom and fluidity in my reading life. Okay, number two, my reading life needs a group or community where I can participate in meaningful conversation. Right here. Number three, my reading life needs a sense of private sanctuary. You know, I'm a busy mum, wife, employee, so my reading life and BookTube, etc. is my time. So I really want to just cherish that and take value in that. I guess that's what I mean by my private sanctuary. Okay, moving on. Tackling these mini projects will give my reading life a boost. First thing, continue BookTube. The second thing is something that I'm experimenting. It's a series called the Duke Books series. I'm basically trying to combine my love for singing with books. So this idea has come from something that I do organically when I am reading. So if I'm just totally loving a particular book, it's really affecting me emotionally. I start creating a soundtrack in my head. You know, the story or the characters might remind me of a song that I already know. Yeah, I don't know if it's because I'm like music theater trained or something. Like the minute I like feel something, I just want to break out into a song. So then I thought, can I do something with this? And it's slowly coming together. You know, I've got the ideas, you know, I've started singing again, you know, working my chops, but I underestimated how hard it was going to be to put it all together, you know, learn how to use an audio editor and then make sure that I don't sound like crap. But it is slowly coming together and I think it'll be interesting. I don't know. I mean, it's interesting to me, but I guess I'll never know unless I just give it a go. So yeah, stay tuned. All right, so there's a third one that you need to fill in, but I couldn't think of anything. So let's just move on. So there are 12 books in the theme of Don't Overthink It that I will be adding to my TBR throughout the year. It's not 12 books for the month, you know, hello, like I'm not going to read that many. My Don't Overthink It TBR. Number one, a book you've been meaning to read. Okay, so the first one that came into my mind is Scott Lynch, the Gentleman's Bastard series. I said gentleman, like I'm Kiwi. Gentleman's Bastard series. Yeah, starting with book one, The Lies of Lockie Lamora. Yeah, this is one I've been wanting to read, particularly after I read the Kingkiller Chronicles. I did also have a quick listen to the audiobook, and I don't know who it is, but he's fabulous. I might alternate listening and reading it. A book you chose because of the cover. I don't usually choose books based on cover or looks because I'm not really a collector of physical books and I just read what's available. You know, at the library, I'll download on the Kindle. I don't really care about the cover, I just care about what's inside. Yeah, but having said that, you know, the kind of magic realism fiction books always seem to have really cool, gorgeous covers, like Thousand Doors of January, so I might give that one a go. I did pick one up recently and it was on my summer TBR called Sorcerer's Apprentice by Zen Cho. It was just gorgeous, like gold arabesque patterns and things. Yeah, the cover was the best thing of the whole book. I tried to get into it. I couldn't. I haven't had a really good run of luck choosing books just based on the cover. But yeah, maybe Thousand Doors of January. A book chosen for you by your spouse, partner, sibling, child, or BFF. So there's been a couple books that I've recommended to my husband and he's gone off and read it and has absolutely loved it and has come round back to me and has said, you have to read it. I call those books boomerang books. because I throw it to someone and then it comes straight back and hits me on the head. So the one that I'm thinking of is the Passage trilogy by Justin Cronin. So I did read the first book, The Passage, and loved it, recommended it to my husband, and then he went off and read the whole trilogy, absolutely loved it, and he has just been waiting for me to get back into it and finish the trilogy. So this year, I'm definitely going to read The 12 and City of Mirrors. Actually, the other one that I recommended to my husband, loved it, and he has been waiting for me to read, is Gold by Cleave. This one I heard about through Anne Bogle in Modern Mrs. Darcy, and it sounded really intriguing. It's about two female athletes in the velodrome sports, you know, the cycling thing. I think that'll be interesting. I think I'll definitely pick that one up this year. A book you previously abandoned. The Dutch House by Anne Patchett. And the main reason I abandoned it was Tom Hanks. He narrated the audiobook, so I started off with that. I thought, oh, Tom Hanks narrating Anne Patchett, that's pretty awesome. And I absolutely love Tom Hanks, but not as an audiobook narrator. I'm pretty sure the tone of the book is not meant to be cynical. He had this almost like smarminess to his narration. It was really, really jarring. So I will start that book over and just read it myself. A book in the backlist of a new favorite author. Definitely N.K. Jemisin. I will be reading the Inheritance trilogy. I've just come off reading the Broken Earth trilogy. I've had an epic reading life-changing experience with those three books. Yep, ready to move on with the Inheritance trilogy, starting with the 100,000 Kingdoms. A memoir, biography, or book of creative non-fiction. I don't read a lot of non-fiction unless I'm going through a freak out and so I need to read a self-help book or something. But I have wanted to read Ian McKellen's biography, so I might get into that one. And I kind of want to read On Writing by Stephen King. Is that weird? Is that weird that I want to read his memoir about writing when I've never read a Stephen King book and I am not a writer? Is that weird? I've just heard it's really fantastic. And it might be a really great insight to Stephen King and might help me, you know, start reading some Stephen King books. I don't know, we'll see. A book from your childhood. I had no books in my childhood besides my Kumon maths textbooks. Didn't really have a reading life, definitely not reading for fun. So I'm just going to imagine if I did have a reading life as a child, what would I have read? And I chose Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. It's magical, whimsical, you know, just absolute beautiful, pure escape read, I guess. God, if I knew there were books like Howl's Moving Castle, you know, for kids like me who were awkward, artistic, immigrant, only child, not very affluent. If I knew there were books like this, I think it would have definitely helped my childhood experiences. But, you know, I'm a child at heart, better late than never. A book published before you were born. I think this is a good excuse opportunity to squeeze in Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. It's one that I've wanted to read for a very long time, and I think it was written in 1979. That is before I was born. And the other one I'd like to read is Farenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. I'm pretty sure I was meant to read this in high school, and I'm pretty sure I didn't, because I am absolutely sure that the only two books I read in the 12 years of my education that I read for fun was The Joy Luck Club and The Crucible, which is technically a play. So 3 books by the same author. I'm just going to cheat with this one. I'm just going to choose a trilogy, and I'm just going to choose Robin Hobb, The Liveship Traders, because that's definitely one I'm going to get into as soon as I finish the Farseer trilogy. So yeah, there we go. A book recommended by your local librarian or bookseller. I am a librarian. I recommend books all the time. So why don't I read one that I recommend all the time to members? So I do have a few members that come back to me after reading something like The Martian, and they say, can you recommend some sci-fis that's not too scary or not too like not too epic Star Warsy, but like a quiet sci-fi. And so the book that I usually recommend is Good Morning Midnight by Lily Brooks-Dalton. From what I've heard, it is like a quiet sci-fi, very contemplative, asks a lot of the big questions. I think it's high time that I actually read that book so I can truly, genuinely recommend it based on my personal experience. A book about a topic or subject you already love. Okay, so I love music, I love singing, but I don't necessarily love reading about it. Because like I said, I'm quite super critical about that aspect. But I think I would like to read a book that involves music, but not in the genre that I usually work with. So maybe something like the Lola Quartet by, I don't know the author, so I'll just add it here. And of course I have many of these in my TBR, but I just love books about books, you know, especially if there's like a touch of magic. So the one that comes to mind is The Binding by Bridget Collins. I will definitely be getting into that this year. All right, last one, number 12. A book nominated for an award this year. This year, as in last year, 2020. Yeah, I tried to find one that wasn't too obvious. And the one that popped out for me was When the Ground is Hard by Malla Nunn. So I think it's a YA book. So it's about two girls in a Swaziland boarding school, and they become friends and bond over Jane Eyre. So, you know, of course, that's what attracted me because Jane Eyre is my favorite book of all time. I don't like reading retells, modern or classic, of any of books that I love, but this one sounds interesting because it's not a retell. It's just an aspect, you know, the book brings together these particular characters, which I really like the idea of. Oh, and I think it was just shortlisted for the CBCA and LA Times Book Prize and things like that. But yeah, looking forward to reading that one. All right, that's it. So I'm probably just going to squeeze these books in here and there throughout the year. So I'm sticking with my mantra, don't overthink it. Just enjoy my reading life. And that's my wish for you all out there as well. Good luck with your reading journey this year. My name is Sun, this is Sun and Mood Reads, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Sun and Mood Reads.